I know sometimes like so like my dad would like I got into karate at a young age, and it was for self-defense. Was that kind of the same advice that your parents kind of like push you to just like get into it, or was it more like you just did it on your own?
Well, also I always liked action movies and stuff. I was always like obsessed with like movies with Jason Statham and stuff like that, just like action movies. And I always wanted to be like, like Jason Bourne, be able to be able to like just be a weapon with my, you know.
Well, you did
Yeah.
it.
I'm working on it. I'm trying my best.
How old are you right now, Zach?
I'm 27.
27, same.
Yeah.
So tell me when it started to get like serious. I mean, you started learning how to defend yourself, but like when did it get to a point where you thought you could like do this for more than just standard self-defense? You could go like to another level.
All right. Well, yeah, like you said, like my parents did like help me. They brought me to a boxing gym and stuff, and
Nice.
they wanted me to get into it because they said my dad always said he's like you're a pretty boy. People are gonna pick on you. He would always say that to me growing up, and when I went into my boxing gym, my coach was saying like you have a perfect nose. You sure you want to get into this? And I'm like, yeah, I definitely want to get into this. And then sure enough, now my nose looks like this. But
You held
yeah, I
up
think
pretty well.
after I had growing up, so I would after like training for a while, I had to defend myself a couple times, and then I realized that I was pretty good at it. And then after sparring in gyms, they would put me in with like people who had more experience than me growing up, and I always held my own. So I had a lot of people that I looked up to that would always be telling me that I had potential to like take this to another level. And I'm very thankful for those people because those are the people that made me realize that I think that they thought I had something special about me.
Nice. So you said that obviously, you had the bullying issue. When you started, taking fighting seriously, did your reputation change? Did they see that, oh, this kid, he's starting to fight, like we should back off a little bit? Or was there like a fight that you might have got into that made people realize?
Well, yeah, I think like I never was the type to look for problems, but I did eventually like more towards like the end of high school when I was always a smaller kid, but once I started growing and like really just staying consistent with the regiment, it started paying off. And there were times where I had to defend myself, and it was done quick. So I think that was when I realized that like I that it only takes one shot basically. And all my fights have been the same. Like had I'm 5-0 as an amateur fighter and MMA, and they've all no one's lasted more than 2 minutes. So
Yeah, okay. So what were some of the people that you mentioned a couple people, who were some of the people that kind of were helpful or impactful in your come up into like now you're in the MMA 5-0? Who are some of the people that kind of helped you along the way?
there was a lot of people growing up. I had Mutant MMA since I was 16 years old, and even before that, I was at Freeport PAL. That was my first boxing gym that I ever went to. I always looked up to people like Patrick Day and Shawnee Monahan in that gym. And Patrick Day stands out in that gym because he was a huge inspiration to me. He was like the best boxer I've ever seen in my entire life, and watching him spar all the time was amazing. And then eventually, after putting in years of work, I got to spar with him, and it was a humbling experience. He was the first person to ever put me down, first person to, he taught me a lot, and I would always talk to him in the locker rooms, and he would always say, just put this before everything and come in here, put the work in. And he saw that I had potential, and he kind of like spoke it into existence. And yeah, so I always looked up to him. He was definitely a big part in it, and rest in peace to him because actually in his last fight he passed away, um, and I was watching that live. And yeah, it was kind of like a freak accident because Pat is like I said, he was like the Terminator. He was untouchable. So um, yeah, it was just that's definitely played like a big role in my career as a fighter.
Yeah, I think people forget that, it's a combat sport, it's dangerous, and I feel like that's something that, does turn a lot of folks off to it, but it didn't do that to you. So if, you want to talk a little bit about, why you weren't kind of discouraged by like what could happen in the ring, you know. I don't know if mom saw that and was like, I don't want my boy
Yeah.
doing this, you know?
Well, yeah, it did. It discouraged me a little bit because, like I said, he was the best of the best, and I've never seen someone till this day that could live up to like his consistency, his discipline. He was really like, uh, he was like what you want, any coach wants to see. He's like the product of like a really good fighter, and so like seeing that, I think it just made me realize that this is not to be played with. I have to listen. I have to really make sure that I do everything I can to keep myself safe in there. And it also plays something when I fight. My mentality now is like it's me or them. Like I have to go in there and then do everything I can to like leave there safe.